So if you're watching this channel for a while, this news that interest rates on mortgages went over 8% shouldn't be a big surprise to you. It shouldn't be news, really. We've been talking about this for more than a year, that rates will go over 8 and really probably settle in around 10%. And that may seem like a lot. When you saw rates at 2 or 3% for many years, 8% or 10% seems like astronomical, but it's really not. So what do you do about that? If you're a renter, if you're a homeowner, if you want to move, what do you do about it, and what are the best next steps? A year and a half ago, if rates were at 5% and they went up to 5.5%, and you thought, well, I'll wait for rates to go down, you probably wish at the time you bought a house, because now they're at 8% and home prices are even higher. So now looking forward, you can't go back in time. What do you do next? And why are rates 8%? If you look at the top of this article, it says in addition to rates being 8%, it says that the Federal Reserve Chairman Powell says inflation is still too high and lower economic growth is likely needed to bring it down. That's the breaking news at the top of this article, right? How does the Federal Reserve bring down inflation? They raise interest rates. Rates are going to continue to go up. For housing, the only way to prevent higher interest rates from affecting you is to buy a house now, to lock in rates. And you might say, I don't want to lock in 8%. Well, when you get an interest rate on a mortgage, remember, you're only locking in from the upside. If you buy a house and get a mortgage at 8% today and rates go up, breathe a sigh of relief, because you're not paying the higher rate. Your rate doesn't go up on your mortgage once you buy a house. If the rates go down to 6% or 5%, which they probably won't do, but if they do, you can benefit from that too, because you can refinance. You can refinance lower, but you don't have to refinance higher. So that's how you can lock it in. What about buying a house? Is it a good idea? Well, let's take a look at a couple things. First of all, defensive home ownership has been blamed for everything from NIMBYism to urban sprawl. So why do I still want to do it? Well, there's a lot of reasons why you want to do it. First of all, the price you pay each month for your home does not go up if you are a homeowner. If you're a renter, at the end of your lease, your landlord could decide, I want to jack your rent up $500. I want to kick you out and rent it to somebody else. I want to sell the property. So you're not guaranteed from every single year. You have to cross your fingers and hope that you get to stay in your house. With a purchased home that you own, even with a mortgage, the only way you can get kicked out is if you stop paying your mortgage. That's it. Everything else, you own it. What else is a reason to own a house? Well, according to some new research, renting can age you faster than smoking or obesity, mostly because of stress, but also because of lifestyle. If you want to live longer, you should buy a home. Buying a home is a life or death event. Maybe an exaggeration. I get it. It may be hard to imagine being able to buy a house. You need money down, you need good credit, you need a job, you need to find a home to buy. But there's ways to be able to do that. We'll look at very, very shortly. Dave Ramsey, love him or hate him, agree or disagree, his opinion's the same. Don't wait for mortgage rates to go down to buy a house, because they're probably not going to go down, but even if they do, you can benefit from that. Because if the rates go back down to 5 or 6, probably won't, you can refinance. If the rates go up to 10, now you're stuck, because now you have to buy at 10. Everybody who waited when rates went from 3.5 to 5.5 said, oh, I'll wait for them to go back down. They're probably kicking themselves now, because your housing payment would be a lot higher. How do you buy a house if you're currently renting, have mediocre credit, don't have a lot of money for a down payment, and can't afford a lot? How do you do it? Well, let's take a look. The first thing you do is you find a home. Find a house that's somewhere around $200,000 to $250,000. Here's just one example we found in Virginia. Nice enough house, 1,700 square feet, 3-bedroom, 3-bath. This one also happens to be on 2 acres, right? I'm not going to go into the house. You've seen many homes we've shown before on our website, homescheap.com. There are houses between $200,000 and $250,000 all over the country that are decent houses. They may not be your dream house. They may not be HGTV, feature house, but at least it's a home that you can live in and be established in. We recommend that you buy the cheapest house you can stand, even if it's not exactly what you want, not the greatest condition, not the best paint. The only reason that landlords with apartments to rent take advantage is because they make it look new when you buy it. They put new paint, maybe new countertop, and that's it. But now you're at the mercy of them just to have something flashy. Buy something that even it's a little bit dingy. This one's not too bad. If you look at the pictures, it's not the end of the world, right? So if you take this house for $275, and you might say, well, I don't have a down payment. Well, there are down payment programs that are 3% down payment. Well, 3% of $275 is roughly about $6,000 or $7,000. That's about what you need to come up with for first payment security on an apartment, right? So you probably have the down payment money, or you can come up with it. Then what you do is you get a mortgage. Well, how much would a mortgage cost on a $275 property? Well, if you put down really almost nothing and you finance $270, your mortgage payment is $2,000 at 8.6%. Let's bump it down to 8%. Well, now you're under $2,000. So roughly for $2,000, you're in a single family home. Your rent's not going to go up. Your money is going towards appreciation. If you rent an apartment, obviously you know this. If the apartment complex is worth more money in 5 years, you don't get any of that. If this house is worth more money in 5 years, that money belongs to you. And more importantly, your payment doesn't go up. It's $1,989 forever, which is actually not true. After 30 years, if you get a 30-year mortgage, your payment goes to zero. So whatever age you are now, add 30 years. If you're 40 years old, when you're 70, you'll have no monthly payment, which is probably a good thing because when you're 70, you'll be retired. What if you got a 20-year mortgage? How much would it be? 20-year mortgage is only $200, $300 more. So imagine that. You buy this house for $275, you put down $5,000 down payment, you finance $270, you pay $2,200 a month. That's probably what your rent would be anyways on an apartment. And in 20 years, your rent goes to zero because you'll have paid off your mortgage. If you really want to get crazy, what about a 15-year? You could pay $2,500 a month, which is probably what your rent would be. And in 15 years, your monthly payment for your house is zero. Imagine you're 26 years old. You get a 15-year mortgage. You pay $2,500 a month. When you're 41, zero, no payment. How great would that be? Now, yeah, you have things like insurance you have to pay and real estate taxes, but those are going to be minimal on a $250 house. In addition, you never have to worry about the landlord kicking you out or your rent going up. Do you have to fix your own sink? Yep. Do you have to maybe paint once in a while? Probably. Change the filter on your air conditioner? Yep. There's some things you have to do, but those are things that a lot of times don't cost any actual money. You could do it with your own sweat equity, your own labor if you wanted to, and not have to worry about rent. It sounds like a big deal when you say, I don't want to pay 8%. Don't let the 8% throw you because interest rates have been much higher in the past. And don't throw you in terms of, I don't want this house. You don't have to buy that house. There are tens of thousands of houses all over the country, in every city, every state, that are in the twos. You could probably find one for $250. And if you found one for $250 and put the same $5,000 down and finance $245 for 15 years, now you're at $2,300. Buy the cheapest house you can stand. This is a strategy of how to deal with modern life. The rates aren't going to go down. Home prices aren't going to go down, more than likely. According to the evidence. It's not an opinion, it's the evidence is showing this to be the case. This is how you can prepare for 2027, 2028, to where if you have a lease that's coming due right now to renew, imagine how much that lease payment on your apartment is going to be 3 years from now. If it went up last year, if it went up $200 last year, in 4 years, even if it goes up $200 each of 4 years, that's $800 more. Do you want to pay that? $800 more a year. I'm sorry, $800 more per month times 12 months. That's $10,000. If your rent goes up $200 each lease term for the next 4 years, that's going to cost you $10,000 a year for the rest of your life. Where buying a home, your mortgage payment is fixed, locked in place. This is what to do about inflation. Certain things you can't do. You can't change the gas price. You can't change the grocery bill. Those are going to go up. But if you buy a house, you can lock in that one largest expense you have to prevent inflation from affecting you there. That's what you do about inflation. That's what you do about rent increases. You don't want to move every couple years because your rent went up, because it's a pain in the neck. It costs money. You lose security deposit. You have to come up with more money. You have to get new drapes, and you have to spend a lot of money. Buy a house, it's a one-time deal. And I know it's tough. You might have to work on your credit. You might have to save up a little bit more money than if you only have $3,000 or $4,000 in the bank. Or maybe if you're going to get that back from your security deposit on your current apartment, you might have to put some more money with it. But that's where if you save $50, $100 a month for a year or two, you can get to that point. I know it's easier said than done. I get it. Everybody right now is stressed. Your grocery bill's high. At the end of the week, you're living paycheck to paycheck. You don't have any money left over. I get it. I'm not trying to oversimplify it. But if you really want out of the rat race, this is one way of doing it. It's probably not going to happen because you're going to get a big raise. Do you think your employer is going to give you 20% raise? No, they're giving you 2 or 3% raises every year. So the way out of the rat race isn't trying to earn your way out of it, because earnings aren't going to go up. You saw in our last video, we talked about AI taking over jobs. You're lucky if earnings are going to go up at all, or if not go away. So this is a way to escape the rat race without counting on somebody else. Your boss giving you more money, the gas station lowering the price, or the grocery store lowering their food bill. That's probably not going to happen. This is the way you can control it and escape the hamster wheel.